Here we are, folks. Bring it on in. Welcome on back to the Lingaholics podcast, where we are bringing you episode 52. And let's give a shout out to all the kids, all the teachers, and to all the listeners who might remember. I'm going to ask the guys here what they felt about their first day back in school after having a summer of fun, a summer of being out and about, kind of doing what you want. And then all of a sudden you got to come back to a schedule, a pretty rigid schedule. When you start your work day and you get your certain breaks, it's kind of like the antithesis of what the summer is. But nonetheless, for senor, this is the career path that I chose. Some days I feel like it chose me because languages are just that way. But today was the first day back in school here in Alberta. I had 3 Spanish classes, a French class. Boys, I was firing on all cylinders. I was so happy to be back in the language classroom, just riffing with my students, building off the energy. And it was so much fun. So lots to share today. That just happens to be what the day is here. So maybe we could talk a little bit about language teaching. If you had teachers that inspire you, like even like some of our polyglot YouTube heroes and such. But I just feel like it's a nice little theme to start off the day. So let's get some insights from the boys, what they felt like on the first day back at school and how they're doing. Let's check in. So Senor Sueco out in Ontario, how's it going, buddy?
So I really want to hear from Cody, but okay, I'll go ahead.
Oh, okay. We can Cody after.
You want to do Cody for? Okay, let's do Cody first.
Let's go to Cody.
Okay. So I think since the last time we talked, I had my like Navy SEAL level teacher training that I did last week. I totally wasn't
SEAL
expecting
Team Cody.
that. Yeah, so it was all online training. So I had to do this at home. And it was like, it just ate up my whole day, every day from like Monday to Wednesday. I only had time to like maybe exercise and cook some meals and things like that. But when we weren't in class doing training, there was homework we had to do. It was ridiculous. It was the most training I've ever done for any job. And so my week was just completely shot because of that. And then my weekend, I had to like take care of a bunch of stuff. And same with this week. Like I've been having to tie like a lot of loose ends in my life. And so I haven't like studied Korean at all. I haven't had any time. It's been ridiculous. And I started my new job I know I was doing those like summer intensive classes before, but now this week, this is like the first official week, right? And their semesters kind of line up with the regular school semester. So, this week was finally the official start of the regular classes, which felt nice. And the first day was kind of a disaster because there's a lot of like little information that you need to remember at this job. So I was kind of confused with a lot of things and I forgot some things and had a lot of problems happen. So it was just kind of a mess. But Tuesday and yesterday were better. So I think it's just a matter of getting used to everything there. And in terms of actually teaching, everything went really well. I know how to teach, so that wasn't too bad. And the COVID lifestyle is very, very much still going strong here. And that's kind of getting to me. But so
remind the listener where you are.
Yeah, just in Seoul, South Korea, for those of you that don't know. And within Korea, Seoul has the strictest regulations. So I kind of got the short end of the stick on that right now. And I haven't done this yet, but I'm slowly going to be getting back into the gym and getting into my Taekwondo classes. So slowly but surely, we're getting back into the kind of lockstep rhythm that I like my life to have. So we're getting there. And like the languages, like I practice my languages and the other languages in the morning with my breakfast and things like that. But other than that, I'm not getting really much practice because I had just been so busy lately. But however, during my lunchtime, I have been watching that Alex Tienda documentary on
Oh, yeah.
Afghanistan that you guys recommended to me. And that's
Good stuff.
that's been pretty cool. Yeah.
But Cody,
Yeah.
that wasn't the question though. The question was, how do you like the first day of school?
Well, even if your childhood recollections and
Yeah.
memories.
Oh, like oh yeah,
Oh,
totally
that too.
missed
Yeah,
the
yeah,
point
yeah.
there.
Like
No, but it was that too. It
that too.
was a double question.
Double question.
Okay. Well, I always enjoyed the first week of school. Like, I mean, everyone loves summer, right? But there's a kind of
Yeah.
like excitement with the first week of school, isn't there? It's like it brings new hope and like
Energy and
yeah, and like I've
Mhm.
always been kind of an ambitious person, so that the feeling when you're starting something new is just like you have that motivation and you have that excitement to get stuff done, right?
yeah. Yeah, man. That was
Yeah, and I totally second that. Like I was always pumped for like the first day of school when I was a kid. And also because I knew that the first couple of weeks were always going to be chill. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it was never going to be
If the
stressful.
teachers chill.
The first couple of weeks was just like being back and like hanging out with your buddies.
Mm-hmm.
And like even like in university, it was always great being back, being back on campus, hanging out with your buddies, going
For
checking
me
out your new
personally,
classes.
I liked the university because when I was in school, I was a little bit shy and I didn't have a lot of friends. So although I was excited, it was like I felt that excitement way more when I was in university because I was actually like coming into myself and becoming a lot more comfortable as a person. So every time I came back to first week of school, I'd be just killing it, right? So
Yeah, man. Yeah, and you see that in kids. Like that just doesn't change, right? There's such an
Mhm.
energy of like, oh, we're all back. It's all crazy
Yeah.
and stuff. And as a teacher who like it's kind of weird as an adult because you're perpetually back, right? Whereas these kids, I mean, if you stick in the profession, whereas these kids, right? It's like 1, 2, like grade 10, 11, 12, boom, out and gone. And yeah, then they go
Mhm.
on to do university. But just being like around now for like another startup, you're just like, holy smokes. There is this energy. There's this anticipation that you can't really describe. And then all of a sudden, boom, like class is back. So to me, it's always 2 days that feel like such a newness. Like New Year's Day, always. I mean, that's when your New Year's resolutions are happening, usually a big celebration. But the other day in the year that feels like such newness is a day like today when
Mm.
class is back, for me at least, still as a teacher. So yeah, boys, it's I'm curious with well, Cody, you're still in the classroom, but I mean, Swecco now outside your. Well, no, actually, you were just finished your master's. Not
Yeah,
that
but my
long ago.
master's was really not that. Well, it was educational, obviously, but it was not the
Yeah,
traditional
didn't have that
educational
traditional.
rigor like you would see
Yeah.
in secondary school,
Right. Okay.
for example.
Yeah.
Well,
But yeah,
that being
yeah, go ahead.
no, okay. That being said, so I am in the classroom, but one, most of my classes are online, and because of COVID, and two, the kids here don't really get a summer break. I mean, officially they do, but the kids, from their perspective, they certainly don't. So I feel like that energy doesn't really exist here.
Right. Yeah. That is more of a Korean what would you call it? Like that's just the way things are, no?
Mhm.
Like they give her nonstop. Whereas
there's no breaks here.
yeah. Whereas here, I don't know. I guess kids here, maybe they'll just do something different. Like they'll work a job or they'll. It's just something different. It's not like constant schooling all the time. But yeah, boys, I don't know. It felt really refreshing just to be back. I think it's like we talked about last episode. It's good to have those breaks, those pauses, and when you have no choice but to just like wait out. Like I finished teaching formally in the middle of June. So it's like 2.5 months till I'm back in the classroom. And just with languages, I mean, I love learning them myself, but there's such an art that I love to making the languages seem like very learnable and from the very first day. And I think if you can just give that impression and plant that seed, I hope it, I mean, it's not to like make a subterfuge or like trick them to be like, oh no, the language is easy the entire time. But if you can just lay like some nice breadcrumbs to start and get kids really like, hey, I can say my name, I can say where I'm from, I can say my age on the first day, it's like, okay, let's just start putting some cooking oil on and start the sizzle. I kind of feel
So
Yeah.
did you talk to them in Spanish and French today? Like only in Spanish and French?
not only I've come to, and I'm not a Puritan in the sense of like only target language. I treat English as like greasing the wheels to get where I want to go with the target language, but more and more I can do longer stretches, I would say, on the very first, especially with my newest level classes. I can do like longer stretches just speaking in Spanish, and it's just by sticking to like a really concentrated framework, but then you're just hitting it already from different angles. So just take, for example, the questions, what is your name and where are you from? Probably some of the first couple phrases you're going to learn or want to say about yourself in any language. So you teach that as the class, repeat it a couple times, but then I go around individually to every kid in the classroom and get them to say that. Well, okay, you say it individually, but then you probably hear me off in the distance saying it to like 10 other kids while I do that. So then I feel that is just like an offhand reinforcement where you're not directly engaged, but you're already hearing like those reps are like repeating. And then tomorrow we're just going to build on from that. So not like a huge, like the whole target language all the time type of thing. In an ideal world, yes, but whatever you're doing to point your language classroom in a more like language like centric, making sure like the Spanish or the French is the cornerstone to what you want to start with, for sure. So I love to always hear what other language teachers do. Now, Cody, I know teaching ESL, I don't know, like I think it was a little bit different than maybe like a second language classroom in high school, but it's interesting being like hardcore language learners, but then trying to make something that could entice average or semi-interested language learners, especially at a younger age. So I don't know if you guys have thoughts on like what would have gotten you motivated in high school or at that age, because that's kind of a mentality you got to put yourself in too. Like Sweko, I know you've talked about your German experience and how it was kind of
I wish it
painful.
were easier. I wish they made it easier. Like I wish they
Uh-huh.
made it like into a Pimsleur course.
Okay.
That's kind of silly, but like I wish they
Yeah.
didn't make us learn that much. They just focused on like the basics more.
Right.
I don't know if that makes any
Yes.
sense,
It does.
but like
It does.
and didn't start with grammar. Started with the building sentences and then learning the grammar afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
Like
Because
the second half of the semester should start like introducing the grammar. But the first part of the semester should just be fun, making sentences,
mhm.
introducing yourself, having like conversation, basic conversation, because that's fun, right?
Totally.
Like simulating, like ordering at a restaurant.
Absolutely.
I don't know, stuff like that, and then constant reinforcement, doing the same thing over and over again, and just like Pimsleur, like building blocks, like Michelle Thomas,
Exactly.
building blocks,
Yes.
building off what you learned yesterday.
Correct. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wish they didn't make it so complicated in the beginning, teaching like grammar and the accused. Like I learned like the first thing they introduced to us was like the accusative case, and I was like, come
Right.
on,
Oh,
you
Yeah.
can't do that, right?
Throw
So
that out the window. Yeah.
yeah, you don't do that in German. Especially not in German. You start easy, and you start with the
Yeah.
connections, like I learned it from Swedish, right? So you start with the
Mhm.
connections, like the most simple words and phrases to say as a Swedish speaking person. Same thing for French, for example. If you're an English speaking person, you start with like the really easy stuff, right?
Absolutely.
That's easy to say for you
Absolutely.
guys.
Yeah.
Cognates, a lot of cognates, right? English
Cognate.
cognates, English cognates all the time.
Cognate confidence. Yeah, man.
Yeah, so I wish, and I really like your teaching style. I've seen you, Ian. I really
Yeah,
like your teaching style, and I really like how you just don't teach the language; you teach culture as well, geography, and everything. Like it's not just like the language stuff, and it's more. You're not super hard on the grammar, which is I like that. You shouldn't like grammar. You should not be. You shouldn't be studying grammar. Like I'd say for the first couple years taking Spanish, you shouldn't be studying grammar. Grammar is like advanced stuff. That's like the nerdy stuff that you teach yourself like after you've already worked up like a basic level of fluency just naturally.
Yeah.
Just like natural fluency. Okay, let's call it like a Pimsleur fluency. So like
Sure,
our level in
Pimsleur fluency.
Portuguese. Let's say
Sure.
our level in Portuguese, when you get that level where you're able to have like basic conversations with each other, that's when you can start looking at grammar, like seriously looking at grammar. But before that, it doesn't really make any sense, in my opinion. It just makes things more
Yeah,
complicated.
and I agree with that in the
Really
sense of who I'm marketing this to or who I'm teaching it to on average. I 100% believe that is the approach because I think you always will have outliers. Like I know Cody loves grammar. Lots of people do love grammar right off the hop. But when you have to teach en masse to 30 people at once, I totally think that's the way to go. Like,
Yeah, but it's
just
different
chill.
too. Like you don't have to be 100% anti-grammar. You can still like introduce feminine versus masculine. You kind of have to, but do it in
Yeah,
like a natural way. So like one thing at a
natural
time.
way. Yeah, go on.
No, just don't throw everything at them at once, you know?
No, 100%.
Like don't
100%.
like, and I know you know this. Like don't start with like subjuntivo like on the second day,
No,
obviously.
no.
And you don't start with like the difference.
Cody,
So I cut out there.
Cody, or
I cut out there. Sorry, my internet has been a little, you know what. But so you don't start with like the different talking about the differences between the imperfect and imperfecto indefinido, like the different past tenses like on the second day. You don't do that.
No, and you can be subtle about it. Like I had a photo today. I was introducing myself. It was like my mom, my dad, and my aunt happened to be in this photo. So I'll be like, mi mamá. Oh, okay. Aquí también hay mi papá. Oh, aquí entre mi mamá y entre mi papá. So between my mom, between my dad, is mi tía. And then here's how that subtle grammar thing. I was like, tia, femenina. Like, any guesses how you might say uncle? And then kids like, it's the first day of Spanish class. And then eventually 1 out of 30, you're gonna get a kid that gets it. He's like, Tio, like, yes, right? Like you have such a crowdsourcing of guessing in a language classroom. Like even today, like we were doing French animals. We talk about the family, like include your pets, your animaux domestiques. And one kid's I was like, comment dit-on? Because sometimes kids know like the real basic stuff already, like comment dit-on cat? And one kid's like, le cheval. I'm like, no, that's a horse, but we can still use that though. Like that's still useful to some of you might have horses as the. So you just like build on your contexts here, right? And I feel trying to organically bring it about, right? Like what do most people have for pets? Dogs, cats. I'm in a more rural area, so some of them have horses. A couple kids last year had bearded dragons. Weird. That's it though. Like I don't have to in this moment, I don't have to teach the word snake, bear. Like this is just relevant to your family, right? Because lots of people consider pets part of their family. So let's learn that. We just got off summer vacation, right? Great time to talk about what you did this summer, right? Why would I do that in October, November? Let's do that on the first day back. So I feel like building in these relevant conversations that kids can relate to. And then, yes, like making grammar such a subtle, like just a light little touch. And then, and like you said, it's something you can like dive deeper into later.
So,
Which,
Ian, what do you do? Let's say you have a student, because the majority of your students, let's be real, they're not going to be super motivated to like reach C1 in 1 year,
no, they
right?
don't even know what that means.
But here's my
Like,
question though: what do you do
yeah.
if you do have one student that's super motivated?
You got to challenge them further, right? So it's a great question, because you do get those ones who will go above and beyond, and they don't just want to give like the boilerplate, like today, like asking that question, ¿Cuál es tu nombre? ¿De dónde eres? Okay, what's your name? Where are you from? Whereas some kids want to be like, oh, like mi nombre, they'll say like their first name, last name, and then like I'm from here, but I've also lived here and here. So then what you do with those kids is you just expand on it. And it wasn't something that you would just kind of repeat it in front of the whole class, but you try to use cues and context. So like I got this one girl, she plays baseball. So she's always like wants to do more. So it's like, oh, like so and so hit so many home runs. When did they hit the home runs? Did you hit a home run? What was the name of the girl? Did you guys win? What was so you just like build up with these follow-up questions, and she's at an advanced enough level that she will follow along, so she can go along with more like fluid stuff.
But what if like this lady or this girl, what if she is so motivated that she goes home and she downloads the Pimsleur app
With lots
and she starts doing Pimsleur? She goes on iTalki, takes classes, she comes back and she's like a year ahead. What do you do? Like, do you keep her in the class? Because that's kind of an insult to her intelligence to keep her in the same class.
Okay, well, look,
are you able to level her up?
Yeah, I could level her up. I agree with the extent. This just goes back to my ESL experience. You can only have so wide of a range in a language class. Like there does get to a breaking point where you can't facilitate. Cody, maybe you have maybe the experience where it's like this person's too strong or this person's too weak.
Yeah.
I mean, in high school, that definitely applied more when I had taught adults. But okay, here's a cool little anecdote from today. I have an Italian student.
Oh, parla l'italiano. Amo l'Italia.
Right.
Mangio la pasta, la pizza.
Just see his brain putting Spanish on top of his Italian, which
molto facile.
Exactly.
Molto bene.
Right? So, and I was just like, okay, I was like, hey, okay, like slow down. Because like, okay, I'm gonna like use you. You are now like my model for the class. Like, because he'd say a lot more than any other kid. Like, slow that down. And like, okay, what did he just say? Okay, he's talking about the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and like it's super hot in southern Italy, but you just got like he's producing all of this already, right? So you got this strong student who's like, okay, I want to make this guy an asset on day one, where yes, I can challenge him individually, but he's going to be like a model for the other students, because they might not be able to produce what he's saying, but they can definitely understand if it's been slowed down and get them to focus on what he's saying. And that's way cooler when that's coming from a peer than from old senior at the front of the class. Like, so, I mean, you gotta use it. Yeah, I agree. If they're like way too far in advance, like I have one student, she's advancing straight to Spanish 30 this semester because she did do the work like on her own with Duolingo and other things, and she really advanced. So I mean, yeah, that gets into assessment and placements and stuff, which is you got to
you can be replaced.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about like in the classroom, like if you can't change something, use stronger students to help like not as strong students. So it's fun, man. And then as a language teacher, there's just so many different activities and like those simulated situations that you talk about that you can really dive into.
Hey, so I just came up with an idea.
Yeah.
So what do you think about this? So motivation is a big issue. Mm-hmm. What if because what's more motivating than having Okay, how about this? How if you like first day of class, you play a video of like
Mhm.
someone who has learned Spanish,
Mm.
Spanish,
Mhm.
like them, that's like them, like a kid, because you can definitely
Yeah.
find a video of on YouTube like this. Like let's say
Yeah.
some kid that like speaks Spanish like very fluently
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
has like went from nothing being monolingual to
Mhm.
being dual bilingual
Yeah, yeah.
and have that, just put that video, throw that video up on the board or on the projector
Yeah.
and just show them,
Yeah.
maybe that, because what's more contagious than someone like that
Yeah.
showing off their skills
Yeah, for sure.
to everyone else. Isn't that a good idea? Because like if you
Yeah.
do it, because you can say like, oh, look at me, like I'm just like you
Right.
guys, once I was like you, but you're still old senor,
I'm
like
older
you're
senor
getting you're
now.
getting up there,
I'm only
bud.
getting older, dude. I ain't
But
getting
you
younger,
could you could
man.
probably find some kid, some wonder kid on YouTube, um,
Yeah.
that's like their age, that's like super fluent in Spanish, that like studied
That's
really hard in high school and maybe went to like Spain afterwards and lived a year and then is like super fluent now. I don't know.
that is
What do you think?
interesting. Yeah, no, that idea's crossed my mind. I've never done it. Doesn't mean I couldn't in the future. I always thought, do you guys know the polyglot Timothy Donor or Tim Donor?
Yeah,
Sounds
I've heard of him.
familiar. Sounds
Um,
familiar.
well, I mean, he's older now. He'd be in his like mid-20s now, but back in the day, he was like a 15-year-old, 16-year-old
Oh, he's the guy in New
polyglot
York City, right?
New York
Yeah,
City
yeah, yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like who preceded Shalma. And there's that one video when I think he's 16 and he speaks 20 languages
Yeah.
in the
That
video. See,
Yeah,
now,
but to be
okay,
honest, though,
that's
he,
wild.
yeah, but he's a little too nerdy. Like that's not motivated. Like to me, that's cool, but
That's
it's not
okay. So
motivating.
that's what I'm
You
okay.
want
So
like
just
a like an
dude.
average Joe kid, like an average Joe kid, and you want to just throw him up on the board
This
just to like the
right.
first day, and you say like, this could be you guys, literally, like next year. If you study and like
Yeah.
go hard and like hang out with Mexicans all the time, then this could be you.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And then you throw him up there, and then he
Yeah.
has like a little intro and speaks a little bit of Spanish with
Right.
with
You know what?
subtitles. They'll
Mhm.
be able
It
to
would
figure it
be
out and see like,
you know
wow.
what the cooler thing would be, making me think of this now, would be to have like previous alumni to our high school or even like recent alumni who had just been through the program with me who could say some things because heck, kids coming in now might even know that kid, right?
Mm.
Like that person. That's a kid that's older than you that in the community. So if it's just like Timothy Donor, Wonder Star, New York, okay, that's one thing. But then like someone born and bred in the community doing that now, and then maybe they're off doing something cool with it now. Yeah, man.
Do you have an
I
alumni
mean,
that speaks Spanish well?
I'm pretty stoked. I don't know if you guys know. I'm gonna give a shout out to him. He's graduated now. So my buddy, you met him when you were here, Ray Warwick. So
Is that
Raimundo,
Raimundo?
Raimundo. So shout out to Ray. I just found out he's playing hockey in Grand Forks, British Columbia, and he's taking Spanish. He's gonna carry on the
Nice.
Spanish dream. So I was
Nice.
Spanish teacher. That's pretty fulfilling, right? When you're
Yeah.
just like somebody's carrying on. I mean, if there's any inspiration that I can keep doing. So shout out to
Nice.
Ray, anyone that knows him that's listening.
Oh, Raimundo.
Um,
He's a
so
legend.
so yeah, it'd be a student like him that could come back and at the end of the day, I hope they can go on to have awesome experiences traveling or meeting
Mhm.
Spanish speakers. Maybe there's a meetup where he's gonna go live,
Right, but they
And
have to understand. Like, I wish I understood that. Like, I wish someone threw up a video of them
yeah,
speaking languages, like
right,
being a language learner, having learned these languages.
right, yeah, and I mean, it might even be like, imagine it was cool if you had like, I don't know, a 10-minute video and then every 2 minutes showed like a different 3-month like check-in points. So you had like
Mhm.
Yeah,
when the person's
just to see the progress.
struggling.
Like,
Yeah,
what's
like a progress video, right?
because
Yeah,
a lot of those kids don't understand that they actually can learn it. Like, actually can learn it to a very high level, very relatively quickly.
rel- yeah. I mean, like don't get off into like dreaming about like expert C1 stuff.
No, but they can get
but
like
nice B1 social.
yeah,
level,
like fairly
right?
fairly able to hold conversations. Fairly
Yeah,
capable of holding conversations after a year, for sure.
100%. 100%. And then I think as a teacher, you really got to like animate that to the class. Like get everyone's, don't get just that person on board, get the 3 friends around them on board too. Cause now they got like a network, a team, a group working on this, right? Like they're doing that crowdsourced guessing, that crowdsourced knowledge where it's like, oh, I don't know the word, but oh, you remember the word. Okay, cool. Now we can like do the activity, right? And I mean, you throw in a little competition because they're high school kids and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, motivation massive. Like we were joking today about hiking in Kananaskis here. Summer's like, do you guys know if you get good at hiking, you can hike the what's that crazy long trail in Spain called? La Compostela, El Camino de Santiago,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Compostela. Yeah, so I was like, do you guys know how long that one is? And I'm like, no, like 800 kilometers. Like, wow, it's like if you're into
Mucho.
hiking, why not? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, there's this experience waiting out there for you. And imagine if you had Spanish while you were doing that. So
Makes it so much better.
Se
yeah,
puede
man, like,
charlar con los los locales.
los locales, no los vascos
Yeah.
también. So,
Hey, you know what? To add on to what we were saying
Gallegos.
before about like teachers seeing their students progress, like that's a cool idea that I've kind of like played around with. Is the first time I ever took a foreign language like of my own volition was German in middle school. Actually, that's when I
Right.
first started like flirting around with it.
Yeah.
And I think I was in like grade 8 or grade 9 or something like that. And I remember my teacher saying to all of the students that just talking about him, like if you guys continue on into high school or if you continue on to university and if you become teachers yourselves and things like that, like, and he was like kind of planting that seed in our heads. And I have this idea where I'm actually from the town of Devon. Shout out to Devon.
Shout out to Devon.
Yeah, it's a small town just a little
Cool
bit
little mountain
southwest
bike
of
spot there
Edmonton.
too.
Yeah,
bikers.
it's got a beautiful river valley, amazing golf course, campground. So it's a nice little town.
Mhm.
And I haven't been back there in, oh God, I think 6, maybe 7 years because my family moved away from there and I don't really talk to anyone from high school anymore. So I haven't really had a reason to go visit there. But I think sometime in the near future, maybe in the next few years, I would like to go back to Devon and go see Mr. Spencer. Mr. Spencer is his
Hey.
name. And I want to see if he's still at the middle school. And I want to go to his classroom and say, hey, it's Cody. Remember me? And like just listen to what I've done for the past 10 years. And I want to just see like how he reacts to that.
You should honestly do
Jetzt
that.
können
dude.
wir ein bisschen Deutsch sprechen zusammen miteinander.
Who knows?
jawohl.
Maybe I'll be better at German than him.
Vielleicht.
Dude, you should honestly do that because seriously, man, that's what I mean. For a teacher to like see work pay off in students, and I can only imagine. Like I see some of our older teachers on staff, like man, you guys see so many kids. Like you just form these relationships, then they're off, they're gone, right? And dude, seriously, go back and see him. You will make his day. Like I swear.
It'll be like a Walter White, Jesse Pinkman moment.
For language labs.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's interesting because you form certain like teacher bonds when you're a certain age, and then, but I mean, you guys talked to this too. Like I've had a slew of different language tutors too as an adult, where it's different because you're just an adult, and but Sueco, you seem to have a good one, like with your Tio Gonza. No, like he's like Gonza.
He's gonna come on. I'm gonna have him come on the pod soon.
Oh,
Charlar un poco sobre la vida en Francia. Donde
Oh
vive
yeah, he's
allora.
in Francia and Charlara. It's a quick side note on Spain. Money Heist, Casa de Papel, season 5 comes out this weekend. I'm
That's-
pumped.
Is that Friday?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. A little busy this weekend, but I will be.
Sì, la
following
próxima.
La
Next
Próxima.
weekend.
Sí.
One after.
Yeah, it's one of those shows. It's like, okay, I'm only watching one episode at night because I binged this. I'm burnt it, but yeah. I don't know. Like it's I found I don't know. I found teaching adults was super fun too, though, when I did that, because it is something a little different when you're just teaching someone your age, if not sometimes a lot older than me. Sometimes I was teaching abuelitas, like that are like in their 60s and 70s, and it's kind of interesting because as you're teaching with them, they would almost like start treating you like a grandson type of thing. Like you get into all types of scenarios when you're teaching. So yeah,
kids are more interesting.
I don't
Not
Any type of
necessarily.
song?
Any age is interesting, to be honest.
Yeah. Any
But
age
kids is more
except-
gratifying.
No,
Kids
you
is
know
more
what?
gratifying when you get like a wunderkind like Cody. comes in.
No, it's any kids except for really little kids, because that feels more like daycare.
Yeah.
Well, I've always said lower elementary teachers should get paid the most because that is.
Oh no, I'm not even
Off
talking about it.
the
I'm talking
walls.
about like babies, like
Oh, yeah,
toddlers
sure.
and like
Yeah.
kindergarten. Like that.
What about lower
is-
elementary though? That's like that's not
even
easy.
that. Yeah, even that's basically what I'm teaching right now, lower elementary, and yeah, you got to be on top of your game. Like
Yeah.
not necessarily in terms of like what you need to like the material you need to teach, but I'm talking about
Mhm.
student management, like just making sure they're paying attention, like that they're not screwing around with each other and like doing stupid things. Like, so you've got that other element that you need to add on to your teaching, which makes, so I think that teaching that level of kids is like, it's hard, man.
Oh, dude. You're in boot camp for classroom management, teaching that age, because I've seen what elementary teachers have to do to like reinforce behavior, and it's like I'm just way too chill of a guy to like not saying high school kids the odd time don't have to get like
You have to like actually reprimand them.
Yeah, but it's way different with high school kids. Like with lower elementary, kindergarten, preschool, like it's almost, you constantly need to be vigilant.
Yes.
Because they're always going to do something.
Yes.
Like some kid's going to talk out of turn, some kid's going to make stupid noises, some kid's going to ask to go to the bathroom. Like there's just like always something happening.
You're right. How do you find that? Because Cody, I'm interested now because I've never had much experience with that, like teaching language in particular. Like, are they doing like play activities or like how do kids that age, when you have to keep them on track so vigilantly, like what does language development look like for that age?
You know, I think the curriculum is pretty different back home compared to how it is here in East Asia. But here it's like, dude, like they're doing a lot of boring stuff in class. And so that makes the student management that much more difficult because maybe some of them might be like actually interested, but most of them are just bored out of their minds, right?
Right.
So you got to like, and I think luckily because I have a very like kind of silly and ridiculous personality as it is. So that I really allow that to come out with the kids, and that I think that really helps me teach. So I can turn boring material relatively interesting.
Right.
And so I think that's the biggest thing, like with little kids, like you just got to make it interesting and fun for them, because that's all they want, right? Like they don't really care what they're doing, they just want to have fun.
No, like that is a young age, pre-kindergarten, like holy smokes.
Oh, that's brutal. I don't have any of that here. I only have lower elementary here.
Lower elementary,
but when I was in China, oh my god, like the younger you get, the more fun they just want to have and the less craps they give about anything they're doing. because when I was in China, like there were some classes I had, there were kids like 3 years old, 4 years old, and when you're dealing with that, it's like it's brutal, man. Like they really don't care what they're doing.
Right.
As long as they're laughing and having a good time, and teachers being silly and being an idiot, then they're happy,
That's
and
fun.
they'll do whatever you want.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's fun to develop that kind of personality as a teacher. Right? Like even when I introduce my last name in French, like, how do you think you say this in French? And they attempt a couple times, like, nah, like Monsieur Renier. Like when I am in this class, this is my persona. This is who I am, right? And yeah, play it up. Whatever, any teacher out there, whatever little quirk you got, little character thing, play it up. Play it up. You got nothing to lose. So yeah, lots of fun. So I mean, any school year, there's always a holic. There's always that honeymoon phase, and then like things set in that you're like you're in the grind and whatnot.
What's that, like a couple weeks?
Depends. It depends on the class. I mean, Cody's right though. Like a huge way, like classroom management. If you want to avoid a ton of issues, just have engaging and compelling activities, fun things to do. I mean, it's the carrot compared to the stick, right? To what you want to do. And like it's interesting, my level of classes where I can focus on more of like oral language development. Like they're teenagers, right? They want to chat, they want to talk. Like we do like a bit of basic writing and reading, but for the vast majority, it's very cool to be able to be like, we're going to be like a speaking, listening based class. So I mean, all the language skills of reading, writing, listening, speaking, they all do reinforce each other in some way, but it is cool when you can put like, you can tailor your class to like, I'm going to emphasize like speaking is my main component, right? So like for a high school level. So, I mean, as adult language learners, we kind of just wander into our preferences as is, right? Like what we like. And in my experience with most polyglots, like a lot of it's speaking. Like reading and writing is very nice and cool. And I mean, it's
it's all speaking.
social
like we
lives.
talked about this before. Like it's
right. So I mean, that can basically my point is like you basically can start making that selection at a high school level age, being like, this is probably good. This is how Spanish will be most relevant to you in your life.
In speaking.
Is speaking. Yeah. So
spoken Spanish. Fascinating. Okay, so the school year has officially started.
School year has begun
for both of you guys.
Yeah. So
not for me. Not for me. However, what has started here in Ontario are language meetups and conversation groups.
Okay.
So I was telling Cody, I made a bunch of new friends now, Spanish speaking friends.
Nice.
Yeah, so we meet up at a bar now every Tuesday and hang out, shoot the shit, in Spanish. And then also I met a guy, a cool guy playing soccer from Colombia, and another cool guy from Chile. Right. So especially living here in Canada and North America in general, it's very easy to find cool Spanish speaking people.
Yeah,
which is nice.
That's important. You have a set night.
Yeah.
Like this is Spanish night.
Yeah, Tuesday night, that's Spanish night.
Yeah. That's so I know life happens. It's clutch. If you're in some kind of group that like,
and the thing is like the only way to maintain, like to actually actively maintain a language is to have a social circle or a social community within the language. That's the only way to actually actively maintain it every single week is to do that.
Yeah.
I feel like, because otherwise, French, I don't have a social community in French that I can speak French in every week. I don't have that. I listen to a lot of podcasts, but that doesn't do it. I don't have that in German. I only have it in Swedish, English, and Spanish. And those are my three main languages. And those are the languages that I like keep up, right?
Totally. And it's that social circle of a language is so crucial. I mean, it's how we
It's
met.
imperative.
Yeah,
It's
imperative.
imperative.
And
I'm
yeah,
I'm
great
working on French. It would be cool to get German. I know there's a cool German, or there is apparently a German group in Oakville that meets up once a week. It's a little farther from me. Like the one I go to is in Guelph, which is where I work, which is nice because
Right.
I can just drop by after work and it's nice, and
Right.
then I can go home after that.
Yeah.
But no, it's kind of interesting. You know, I live in Milton, Ontario, which is
Yeah.
closer to Toronto, to downtown Toronto, than from where I work. And I
Right.
moved here because I thought I'd have better social opportunities. But now
Right.
all the friends that I made are either in Guelph or in Waterloo, which is the other way, which is where I went. However, I do have some friends in
Irony.
Mississauga and Toronto as well. And I do play soccer in Mississauga and baseball in Brampton. So it is nice. It's nice to Milton's like this nice community,
Little
nice town in the middle of
center.
everything.
Yeah.
So like I'm constantly going, like within a 20-minute radius, I have like a bunch of fun activities and friends and stuff. Waterloo is a little
Nice.
farther away. That's probably like 40 minutes.
Right. Oh, okay.
But I don't go
Right.
there too often.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's sick. Well, that is like one of the huge upsides of being like GTA. Like that's a massive
Yeah,
popular
like
area.
How many
Ontario.
cities are in the GTA?
Well, so technically Guelph, Waterloo, and Kitchener, Cambridge, I don't think they're technically in the GTA, but they're in the same zone, right? Like
Yeah.
within an hour radius of downtown Toronto, you have a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of
Yeah.
places.
Yeah.
Like,
You're
there are
in
a
the
lot of places. Yeah.
vicinity.
And
Okay.
it's cool because there's everything, right? And there's infinitely many people you can hang out with, which is nice. Like you can find
Totally.
communities for everything.
Yeah,
Like
that's
it's not hard to find, for example, a Spanish speaking community.
Right. And like big cities, right? They got that cosmopolitan flair, which is like I know. Okay, Cody. Imagine for 1 second that it wasn't Corona times. Like I'm sure Seoul would be off the chain too.
I was actually just talking about that recently with somebody, just like what Seoul was like before COVID, and this
Yeah.
place is crazy.
Right.
Like there's just so much to do here, so many cool people you can meet. So it's really frustrating, just everything happening with COVID right now. That it's like I feel like that experience is being like stolen from me.
Right. This like lost opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I felt in Barcelona. I felt robbed.
Robbed. Yeah. Well,
COVID's robbing us.
Yeah, robbing us blind. Because like I remember you saying that you wherever you moved, it couldn't be that far from a meetup, which I always found. Like,
Yeah.
you remember you saying
Well,
that?
I was kind of joking when I was
I
saying
know,
that.
I know,
But the point being that wherever you move, there has to be a sense of community, obviously.
yeah, like around what
Like
you're
the thing
into.
is, dude, I love Strathmore. I have nothing bad to say about Strathmore, but it's a little too small for me, to be honest. It is
totally
it is close
fine,
to
man.
Calgary, which is nice.
Well, that's
But if Strathmore were, let's say, 30 minutes more east, then that would be no go for me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it might even be no go for me.
Yeah, even for you.
Luckily, I am in the orbit of a big city.
And you're a man of eres un hombre del campo.
Un hombre
Campesino.
Hombre de viajar por carretera. I was looking at road trip. So yeah, I love a quick roadie into town too. So
it's always enjoyable.
I mean,
yeah, no, you need that community. Like, I'm not like, I wouldn't call myself like a big city guy. Like, I'm really not like a big city guy, but I'm definitely a bigger, like, metropolitan guy. Let's just call it that.
That's how I feel. That's exactly how I feel because I think this is a really cool. I mean, especially if COVID stops here, like I think I'll have a really cool experience for the remainder of my time here. But I don't want to live in a huge cosmopolitan city like this for the rest of my life. It's a bit overwhelming, to be honest. Like sometimes I feel like, oh, like this is a bit too much. Just like walking around and like all the sights and all the people and everything. Like I find it a little bit overstimulating. So
Cody,
I think yeah.
how central are you right now? Like if you go out on the street, are you down like on the city, like on a block, on a city block?
Yeah, I'm in a pretty solid location. So I'm not in like downtown. Well, I don't know. It's hard to define what downtown Seoul would be because the layout of the city here is just very
But is
different.
it like bustling traffic outside?
Not as much as you would think, but it's still, yeah, I'm still on a main kind of area.
So
Like
you
I'm
go
in I'm
outside
in
and it's
I'm in
definitely like the
Seoul.
city. It's not
Yeah,
suburbia in any way.
no, I'm in Seoul proper.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it's not even on like the edge of the city. Like I'm in a fairly central location. Like I'm near, so for maybe Ian might know where this is if he likes geography, and maybe some of the listeners who have been here might know. I live pretty close to Hongdae
Why would he know
Yeah,
that?
because he's learning Korean.
well, I know Gangnam. I don't
That's
know.
one place I know as well.
No, okay. Can you explain what is that thing, Cody? Like, is that
Okay,
like
Hongdae is like it's kind of like a hip area where you can a lot of foreigners
okay?
hang out there.
Gotcha. Okay.
And there's a lot of like
Gotcha.
there's a lot of bars and shops and things like that.
Right.
And I live like probably a 20-minute walk from there.
Okay.
But Hongdae it's even though it's really popular, it's kind of like the farthest most popular place in Seoul, I guess, from the
Okay.
center.
Right. Right.
Does
And
that begin with an H?
Yeah.
And how do you say it again?
Hongdae. Hongdae.
Hongdae.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm trying to find it. And what direction is it?
It's in the west part of Seoul.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys can keep talking.
Yeah.
And is it
No,
close to the
yeah.
airport?
No. It's not close to the airport.
I feel like
But it's towards the airport.
Yeah, I think any big city internationally has. I don't want to call it tourist traps, but like what attracts expats? Maybe like
Oh yeah,
or
foreigner bubbles.
foreign bubbles.
Cody,
maybe?
is it north of the river or south?
It's north of the river.
What's the name of the main river again?
The Han River.
The Han. Yeah. Okay.
Are you close to the river?
Yeah, I can walk. I can probably walk to the river in like 20-25 minutes.
Yeah.
It's actually really big. Like the Han River is huge.
Yeah.
It's always brought me back to Ontario.
Finding it.
Google Maps for South Korea sucks. Eh?
Yeah, it's so bad. Yeah, so I forgot you were using Google
What do
Maps.
What do they use? Because everything in Asia seems a little different, like app wise.
Oh yeah.
Even their
So
messengers and
they use Naver maps or Kakao maps.
Naver.
Is it good?
Yeah, okay. I've heard of Naver. Yeah.
Yes, it's good for Korea, but it's funny. Naver maps and Kakao maps, it literally only shows you Korea.
Okay.
Like you can't even look at the rest of the world. It's only for Korea.
But can you use Naver here? If
No,
I downloaded it for Canada?
No, it doesn't exist. Like
No?
you
Okay, maybe
try
I'm
you
confusing
like
it.
for example, if you try to go to Japan to look at Japan on Naver maps,
nothing.
you literally can't go there.
Right. Yeah, okay.
Well, Cody, one more time the name of it. Sorry. Do barrio.
Hongdae. Oh, that's not my neighborhood, but it's the
Yeah, what's it called?
the closest popular area to my place is
Hongdae?
called Hongdae.
Hongdae.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess
And guess what?
no, yeah, I'm just trying to think of like in my travel experiences. Like there always are these, even when I was with Lee, in Kiev. Like there was like the expat spots, I guess, like these popular spots that, which are cool too, right? Like you meet, that's how you could meet a ton of people. Like was that Airbnb you stayed at, Cody? Like because that had a bunch of international people. No,
Yeah, that was like there were international students there because it was kind
oh,
of close
okay,
to a university. And
right.
so it was mostly like European exchange students at the
Mm,
house. I was the only working person. There was one Korean guy who was living there, but he was working.
right.
But
Okay.
everyone else was it's a student.
I
Yeah.
found it now, Cody. That's really central.
Yeah, it's fairly central, yeah.
You're still within like the main ring road around the
Yeah.
city.
Yeah, yeah.
Do people drive a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
People
lot
have
of cars
cars?
in the road here. But I mean, like
It's not like
lots of
here though.
people take the subway and the bus too because like the public transportation here is awesome.
Is Seoul one of the most dense cities in the world?
It is,
Still?
oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
seeing that. Uh-huh.
Yeah, there
So
are
is that
people
where you say like
everywhere.
that big city, like it's almost too big or too concentrated,
Yeah, like there's
congested?
like there's people everywhere you go. Like even in the so it's kind of cool. Outside my house, there's like a forest line park.
Uh-huh.
It's like a forest that's built over a subway line. So it's a really cool idea. And I actually take that to work every day. So it's a nice little walk that I got.
Nice.
And there's always people in this park. Like you go out at like 10 o'clock and it looks like the same amount of people during the day.
Oh, at night.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh,
Like
snap.
there's always people on the street here, except for like really late at night because most people have like set bedtimes. Like there's not really that most people have this very similar lifestyle here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, okay, I know things are closing early, but on like in normal times, like they'd be out pretty late though, sometimes. Like
Yeah.
because I remember like Cholo, our buddy Alejandro, said when he brought his family to Calgary, they were shocked with the empty streets on a Sunday. Like they just couldn't
Mm.
comprehend that.
Yeah, but that's
Like,
Calgary.
is that Toronto? Like
No. You'll see
okay,
Toronto. It's packed.
yeah. Okay, it's been 4 years since I've been to Toronto. But yeah, because even I guess that size of city in Mexico, like Cholo was just like, man, this would be crazed with people. Like this would be like this like hopping. Like there'd be
Yeah,
people
Calgary's
Yeah.
everywhere.
dead. But I kind of
Yeah,
like that
right.
Calgary's dead. For some reason, I kind of like it's chill.
The quiet. Yeah, it's well, I mean, almost
It's
too chill.
tranquil.
Like I
It's like
guess, yeah.
there's this serenity to it. I
Mhm.
kind of like it. I kind of like
I
that
think
Calgary's low key.
I really love Calgary. I think it's got the best of both worlds. Like you can still meet a
Mhm.
lot of cool people and it's great for socializing, but
Yeah,
it's not overwhelming, it's not overstimulating.
Right. Yeah,
right.
Calgary's a nice place because like if you get into the suburbs there or like other parts of the city, like there are a lot of really cool parts of the city to live.
Hmm. Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah,
get a nice house in like the South End,
yeah, man.
right next to the Elbow River.
Lots of neighborhoods.
That's my plan. That's
Get
my
a
plan.
nice house
I
there.
don't know about like that exact location, but like
No,
just
but
get a house somewhere in
somewhere in
the
Calgary, just hang out.
yeah. Yeah.
Go to Azrin's language meetups.
I know. Sorry,
Go to the
That's the
mountains on the
life.
weekends.
I only made
That's
it
the
to one of
life.
Azrin's. Only one of Azrin's meetups, but I'm gonna be back soon, Azrin. If you're listening, shout out.
Azrin.
Yeah, yeah. No, there's. I mean, the big cities afford a lot of very cool social opportunities. I mean, that said, and I actually got proposed this idea last year from a lady who I met at the Korean meetup in Calgary, who lives out here in Strathmore, being like, "Why don't we start our own Spanish club here in Strathmore, like meetup?" And I think I made up some excuses, like working and stuff, and some of might have been true. And but it's like, okay, a small place, but if you don't have what's in your community, start it. Be that initiator too, right? So, I mean, I'm still in a place big enough to maybe garner some interest. So, I guess it's kind of like that punk rock do it yourself attitude. If you just can't, like, if there is not around you, then just make it yourself kind of thing. So
yeah, I'm like I said, I'm kind of leading this new initiative.
Yeah, no, that's what's
Meetup,
cool,
new
right?
meetup.
There you go.
And then if there's people around you, then yeah, get started with that. So how's the Italian? L'italiano?
Molto bene.
Molto
Va
bene.
bene.
Va
Va molto
va
bene.
Yeah,
Voglio parlarle molto italiano.
I
Molto
do you find
italiano.
that music, I feel like Italians got like the most musicality. Like it's so up and down.
Sì, molto musicale. Molto
Yeah,
musicale.
right? I love it.
Parlare l'italiano.
This
Sì.
new international student I have, will be like, hey, let's go speak some Italian.
Italiano.
Get a shot of Italian on the side.
Why not? Yeah. I mean,
So he's brand new in Canada?
yeah, I just arrived. You told our whole class. Yeah, he just got here August 23rd. He's super
Nice.
excited. And
how's he liking it?
Well, I mean, like, this goes kind of back just to our conversation we just had. So he's from Pisa, Italy, which is a big city. And he's like, and then I came to Strathmore. So it's like, I think there's culture shock both ways. You know,
Yeah.
anytime you hear this word culture shock, it's just like something remarkably different than what you're used to. Is that what you mean? Like I don't know. Probably because I'm going to Toronto this weekend. It's
That'll
always
be a little culture shock for you.
Well, I've been before, but every time I'm back, it's just like, oh,
whoa,
snap.
this place
Like,
is big. This is Canada?
The New York of, like, when I see those giant skyscrapers, because I've been to New York City once, and you're just like you're just not used to your skyline being buildings.
Yeah.
Right? Even in downtown Calgary or Edmonton, like, there's tall buildings, but they're not like, they don't take up the skyline.
Yeah, they don't take over. And like in here.
Yeah. So I mean,
like the CN Tower just like
but it's
comes at
funny.
you.
It's funny because I always remember the story my buddy Trent told me. He's from Lloydminster, my hometown, and they had a basketball program that got a couple guys from Toronto to come play out in Lloydminster, and Trent had to go drive to the airport to pick these guys up. So, and these guys had never been out of Toronto in their whole lives, like 18 years old now. Trent picks him up. He's like driving them out of Edmonton Airport, and I guess the one guy like taps the other guy on the shoulder. He's like, "Hey, look! They have cows here," or something, right? So it's just like,
that's silly though, because we have a lot of cows
like,
in Ontario. Like Ontario's rural. Like Ontario,
I don't know the comparative completely. If it's like they never left urban Toronto or something, like maybe it's slightly exaggerated, but
maybe if they're from the hood.
Yeah, maybe potentially. So
they're from like North York.
Could be. So anytime I hear culture shock, like, I don't know. Have you guys ever I remember when I was going on my trip, they like really, like, when I went to Nicaragua, Honduras, we did all these like prep classes and stuff, and they like really tried to be like there's gonna be culture shock, you're gonna be homesick, you're gonna go through all these phases. And to me, I don't know, I think it's like a personality thing, but none of that happened for me, in the sense of like, I was never homesick. I was super stoked to be like kind of in a mysterious place that I didn't know. I knew a little bit about from reading, but not from like other ways.
Yeah, I've never been homesick, I don't think.
Or culture shocked?
Yeah, I've been culture shocked. Like, I've been like, holy smokes.
Way? Right, okay.
No, it's like, wow, I'm here and this is different.
Right.
But I've never been like, wow, like I really miss home. I never really felt that.
Yeah, like I need to have like some kind of like.
But then again, I don't really have a strong. I don't really have a strong feeling of home. Like, I don't really have that sensation of anywhere being home.
Yeah, okay.
So that's why that probably explains me not being homesick ever. But yeah,
Could
I've
be,
been culture
yeah.
shocked for sure. Yeah, going down to Colombia,
Okay.
trying to navigate myself through the airport there and then the train station and all that.
Right.
I bet Cody, I bet something similar
Oh
happened to
yeah.
you when you came to Korea.
Yeah, well, I've experienced culture shock, but it hasn't been that serious. Like I've never been like, oh my
Right.
god.
Like,
So like I've never had
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I would say the biggest culture shock I ever experienced was actually when I went to Mexico to do my homestay. I remember getting out of the airport and taking the taxi to my homestay, and I just remember looking out the window like, whoa, like I'm in Mexico. Like this is so
Mhm,
cool.
yeah.
And actually, this is really surprising because I experienced more culture shock there than I did when I went to China. I don't
Yeah.
know why, but I mean, obviously, I experienced culture shock when I first arrived in China. I was like, whoa, like this is China. But I wasn't completely taken aback like I was in Mexico. It was very strange. And it's the same with
Yeah.
Korea. Like, because I was so used to how things were in China, and like Korea's pretty similar, to be honest. So
Mhm.
when I first got here to Korea, I was just like, yeah, all right,
Yeah.
this is
Here we go.
Korea. It's
Yeah.
different than Canada, and I was never really hugely taken aback. I would say like homesickness. I've never been homesick for like a long period of time, but I've definitely had bursts of homesickness for sure. Because unlike Sueco here, I have a very strong sense of home. So yeah, that's affected me a few times, and currently I'm kind of experiencing that right now. But it's like it's just more like a little burst of homesickness, not
Mm.
like I'm not like laying in bed awake
Right.
at night like I want to go home.
Waiting and
It's nothing like
waiting.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess for me, I don't culture shock, the amount of English in Europe was a shock to me. Because for some reason in my mind, Europe was always just off in this land of multitudes of languages, which it is technically, but in terms of just like being a tourist, like I wanted to be like in a very confused situation. Sometimes I just couldn't get it because there's too much English. Right? Like,
This is too easy.
well, yeah, it's too easy in the sense of like, oh, come on, guys, like I could have just stuck around Canada for a while. So,
Yeah.
um, so like Eastern Europe a little more, but I think that's even like a place like Austria or where I do plan to go in Germany. It's like I think that puts like even more pressure to have even better German skills to like not get sold down the English River if I'm in a situation
Yeah.
kind of thing. So yeah, everywhere's a little different. So I don't know,
Cool.
boys. What do we got on the week ahead? What's
Well, I'm
happening? What's
going
going on,
to
Holly?
Québec. Je vais aller
Oh,
à Québec, la
Oh,
province
nice.
plus
Ouais.
importante du pays du
Ooh.
Canada. Vraiment, vraiment. Alors, on peut parler un peu de français
Il est à la français là-bas.
avec
Ouais,
l'autre. Et
ouais.
oui, c'est ça.
Non, très bien, très bien. Mec. Ouais.
Yeah, we're doing a little reshuffling
Salutations.
here in the great country of Canada. I'm going to Quebec. Ian's going to Ontario
Just for a couple days, couple
just for a
nights.
couple days.
Watch the Blue Jays.
Le-
Go Jays. Wild card.
Leaving Alberta unguarded for now.
Yeah, we'll be okay. We'll be all right. I mean,
So I'm gonna go check out the vaccine passport implementation up in Quebec.
okay. Yeah.
You know,
Why not?
see what's to come in Ontario on September 22nd. I think that's when we get our vaccine passport.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Cody's getting vaccinated. Congrats, bud.
September 18th, getting Pfizer.
Nice, man.
How do you say it in German?
Pfizer.
Pfizer.
Pfizer. For the Jungs.
Right on. So another week of teaching, Cody?
Yeah, so I've got it's Thursday today for me, so I only got 2 days of work left, and then I got a weekend here, just hanging out on the weekend, and I might go hiking this weekend actually because the weather started to cool down finally, and I haven't done like any hiking since I've been here in Seoul, just because it's been so hot. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna do that, and then next week, just finally get back into the gym and get started with this Taekwondo dream that I have, and
Yeah, dude. You've been
hopefully,
talking about that for a while.
yeah. So hopefully things start to get a little more regular here. I'm kind of craving that right now.
But you guys don't have a vaccine passport.
No, because not enough people are
Yeah,
vaccinated
okay,
yet.
so it's not a thing yet.
Yeah, but it will. I think maybe in like November, December, they'll start talking about that.
Yeah, it'll come.
Probably.
Fun times.
La
fun
passe
times.
sanitaire de COVID-19
And,
va aller.
Yeah.
In the meantime, folks, keep your language passports. Keep those strong too, because that's a fun way to get around as well. So
Yeah.
all
When are
right.
they coming?
Oh, they're already here, man. Just when you go to
No
the
mandates. We want mandates.
language mandates.
Yeah, when are the language mandates coming?
Yeah, when you're a high school student and you fly to Strathmore and
There's a language mandate.
You're registered with the class with Senor. There's your mandate, folks.
Señor Regnier.
So
El
that's,
mandate de los idiomas.
mandate de idiomas. Sí. So that's what maybe we'll change the pod name to
The language mandate.
the language mandate, the language passport. Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
To quote Steve Dangle. Okay, folks. Let's wrap that up here. Episode 52.
Merci, bien gros.
Okay, merci the boys. We still got our big Afghanistan episode around the corner. If you've been following the news, lots going on in Afghanistan. We have Valeria, Turina around the corner, and our other buddy SF Langlover around the corner. Check us out: Twitter, Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, Apple's, Pods, wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you get your social media. The Linkaholics are there. Thank you, folks.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci.